Don't let other people determine who you are. This is something that you will naturally realize as you start becoming conscious and aware and you start loving yourself and becoming whole, is that as you've gone through life or throughout your whole life, you've constantly had people try to define you, try to tell you who you are, try to place you in a box. I know me personally, I've had this my entire life, and they do it in the most subtle ways. Not only that, but the way it's done in the world is that it's like literally it's societal norms to place people in boxes, define them, and to try to tell people who they are. For instance, when you apply for a job, they're asking for your ethnicity or your race, your age, male, female. So they've already placed you in these boxes. They've already defined categories for what you are, and they've already placed you in boxes. And whether they want to admit it or not, all of these factors they're going to use to determine whether or not they're going to hire you or not. And it's not even really depend on your actual abilities. They're using those things already to make a decision on whether they're even going to consider you for the position. So you'll have like even your parents, a lot of people in general, when they're going through life, their parents, are going to try to tell them, no, don't do this, no, don't do that when it comes to their life. For instance, like if you have it within you, you've always wanted to grow up and be a dancer, or you're going to have that person who wanted to be an architect, architectural engineer, or whatever else. Everyone has within themselves who they are, who they're supposed to be, their purpose that they're supposed to fulfill. And lots of times you're going to have that parent who's like, no, don't do this. You need to be a doctor, or you need to be a lawyer. Or you'll have friends who's like, oh, that's a dumb idea. Like you try to tell your friend about a business idea that you have, or you're passionate about this new drawing that you just created, or a new business venture, whatever else, and you're going to have that friend who's projecting their negativity onto you, or their own trauma, how they were rejected by others, and they're going to say, oh, that's a dumb idea, oh, that's stupid, or yeah, that's cool, and they try to brush it off and change the subject. Don't let other people try to define who you are. You were meant to be who you are, exactly who you are. For instance, an airplane that flies in the sky is perfect because it was designed to do that. But if you try to take an airplane and drive it down Rodeo Drive, it's madness, because the airplane wasn't designed to drive down Rodeo Drive. It was designed to fly in the sky. You, Caitlin or Regina or Tyrell or whoever is watching, you were designed to be authentically you. And the purpose you fulfill was always within you, no matter what that is, whether that's being a designer or a model or an author or a writer, someone who has a blog post. Maybe you're supposed to be a streamer or whatever else. Everyone has different purposes to fulfill in this world. And the problem is the world tries to rank people based on who's more important and who's less important. I'll give you guys an analogy since I know cars very well. If you have a car and you get a flat tire, sure, you can still drive it, but because it has that flat tire, it isn't operating at the full efficiency that it needs to operate at. Same thing as if you remove the engine. If you remove the engine in a car, it can't even start. It can't even drive. It can't even run. Now, let's flip the script on that. Let's say the engine's intact and you have your wheel, you have your tire, but the transmission's removed. Now the car could start, it could run, but it can't drive because the transmission can't transfer power. Same thing as if, let's say your AC goes out. Now your car starts, runs, and drives, but it's super hot and unbearable to be in it while you're, driving it in the summer. So every single aspect of that car has a purpose and a place, and together it all operates as one, and it's what makes the car the car. This is what life is like. There are trees for a reason. There are birds and bees, and there's you and me. We all have a different purpose to fulfill, and it doesn't make anyone greater or less than the other. And when you remove part of the equation, it makes things unbalanced. if I use someone I know, for example, they're extremely afraid of reptiles, frogs, insects, animals, whatever. But let's say they were given a magic genie in a bottle where they could have any wish. Let's say they wished that frogs no longer existed, right? Once they make that wish and they're bombarded with flies and mosquitoes and all these other things that they would consider pests, now they're irritated about that, but they don't realize that by removing part of the equation or seeing frogs as less than or unworthy or not liking them, that they completely unbalanced everything. So everything and everyone has a purpose and a place. Don't let anyone try to tell you who you are, what you could do, or how you're supposed to operate. You know within yourself, when you dig deep, who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing. Don't ever forget that.